Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I'm Tony Gerdeman here, as always, with Tom. Tom, how's it going?
Tony, we are most of the way through day 2 of Big Ten Media Days. Most people have gone home already. Still plenty to talk about, still plenty to do. It was Ohio State Day, which is always, after a long off season of nothing, it's like, boy, they are really making us smoke the whole pack.
And then, boy, by the time people are listening or watching this, fall camp is a week away, maybe less, depending on when you get your podcasts and your YouTubes and whatnot. So let's recap some of the things that we learned from Julian Sayin. Number one for me, I want to talk about Arthur Smith and the relationship that he's building there. Ryan Day earlier in the day, very, very earlier in the day, said that Art Smith has been putting a lot on Julian's plate, and that Julian has responded well. I asked him, Julian, what is that? Said now he can go to the line of scrimmage with more than one play, and then decide which one to go with based on the alignment from the defense and things of that nature. And he said, it's great, but you have to be accurate or else you lose the privilege.
Yeah.
And, I wanted to talk to Ryan Day a little bit more about that. Didn't get a chance to, but because I don't know how often that was the case for Julian Sayin. Surely every time there's an audible.
Yeah.
But this is a choose your own adventure type of thing.
Right. Well, and Ryan Day talked about the fact that when you're going to the line and you're changing plays and you're, with tempo and you hustle the line and then you adjust and everyone look to the sideline, and that would give the defense a chance to put themselves in, the correct defense because they had seen what you were doing. This is a chance to sort of swing that the other way, where you go to the line, and unless the defense is able to really disguise what they're trying to do, and you can do that obviously to a certain extent, but not, you see the personnel package, you see the basic alignment, you can sort of get yourself, okay, I see what you're doing, now we can get ourselves into this and sort of make that adjustment. But that's a lot to put on a guy's shoulders. And last year as a redshirt freshman, first year starter, I would assume, they aren't ever going to say, he had that right, 27% of the time or whatever. But that's one of those things that, as a first-year starter, as a redshirt freshman, that would be a lot to put on a guy's shoulders. Now, okay, you've kind of gone through the full season now, and you've had another off season where it's not, everything is not all brand new to you. So I think that's probably a good second season.
Well, and it's something that Julian has been wanting more and more. Even last year, he wanted more and more, but it's a process, and you don't want to move it too quickly. And so I did ask him, is it extra work? Is it a lot of work? Is it hard work? It's like it's work, but it's not extra because, one, Arthur Smith's a very good teacher, which reminded me of all of the things they used to say about, or still say about Matt Patricia, is that the way he teaches, you learn so much so quickly, and it's just a completely different world than what they had been used to. Arthur Smith here, you're the Ohio State quarterback. You're putting in extra work anyway, so
right.
Extra is the minimum, and then you're going to put in more after that. But everything seems to be going well there. And if you have a returning starting quarterback, Ryan Day, this is his third. If you don't make the most of it, you're wasting time.
Well, and Day talked about that, and I remember thinking that can't be right, but it is. It's Justin Fields, C.J. Stroud, and Julian Sayin, because it feels like Day's been here forever. But it's that goes back to 2017. That's not just as head coach. That's 2017 as well. And so, that's a real luxury at this point to have I think it was PJ Fleck talked about the fact that they were the only school in the entire country that had the head coach, both coordinators, and a starting quarterback returning, which, that's a sure sign of modern football that the one school in the nation has that. To have to have Arthur Smith, if Arthur Smith is the change and you're bringing in a former NFL head coach to be your coordinator, that is a worthy, that's a worthy change. But to have the head coach who's obviously specializes in that side of the ball, and a quarterback who now has returned, and this is going to probably still be largely the Ryan Day offense with some Arthur Smith influence, would be my guess, especially in the run game. But this is, you have such a benefit to have a guy back and to not have everything be the first time.
Would you consider, Urban Meyer he had 2 returning starters, or do you consider him having 3 when you throw in Cardale Jones there? I don't know that I really consider that 3, but that's also the product of having a 3-year starter followed by a 3-year starter, a 4-year starter, I guess, 2-year starter, 4-year starter. Returning starter, Julian Sayin was asked, do you feel more responsibility because you are a returning starter? He's like, if you're the Ohio State quarterback, the starting quarterback, the responsibility is already there. It doesn't matter how long you've been there, it's the same responsibility. You got to go beat Michigan. He didn't say Michigan, but you know what comes with all of that, and it's like, doesn't matter if you're first time you're out there or the last time you're out there. The responsibility is to win and be the Ohio State quarterback, which is one of the more notable positions in the sport and at Ohio State.
Well, and I think that was a Jim Tressel line that the two most important people in the state are the governor and the starting quarterback at Ohio State, and it's one of those things where it's like, what ridiculous overstatement, and then you sort of stop and you think about it. You're like, well, I mean, the head coach of Ohio State's probably in that conversation.
Who would you rather lose?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, you look at the list of the highest paid state employees, and it's not it ain't the governor.
No. And anyways, those are all protected by the non-disclosure agreements right now.
Yeah.
The look in his eyes is something that Ryan Day talked about with Julian Sayin. Like, you can see it. I think he said it a couple times. And so Julian talked about that. And it's like, well, he's got more intensity, practice, and workouts. And just the way he's attacking all of the goals and the way he wants to improve his skill set. And he knows what people have critiqued him about. And not that he said he's not on Twitter. So it's not the fringe that he knows what they're saying. It's just there's feedback. He knows, he saw the games.
Yeah.
He knows where he fell short. He knows what he could have done more of. And so that intensity has also made him bigger and stronger because of the workouts. And he said it doesn't really inform him on when to leave the pocket, or when to stay in, no longer to stay in. Like, I'm bigger and stronger, I can stay in longer. He's like, but maybe I can get out of more sacks that I couldn't before because he's bigger and stronger. But yes, I don't want to say he's got like the eye of the tiger or that his ears are pinned back or anything like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that role is spoken for. You cannot do Thursday night football. No, stop asking. I always, the look in the eye thing is one of those things that I always kind of like. Are we really are we doing this? That to me doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot. When Jeremiah Smith talks about, and we'll probably talk about this more on the Jeremiah Smith show, but when Jeremiah Smith talks about the fact that he and Julian Sayin have been kind of paired up in workouts, and that Julian Sayin is like really putting in the work, and Jeremiah Smith was the first true freshman ever to be an Iron Buckeye, so Jeremiah Smith knows what it takes to be successful and to really, really put in the work in the weight room. When he says, I've been working specifically with him, and I've been specifically seeing it with him, that means more to me than look in the eye. But look in the eye is also probably a shorthand for intensity a little bit, which in this case, this is a contract year potentially for these guys, and for someone like Julian Sayin, you're not doing these things because you're addressing the people. I'm going to show these guys on Twitter. That's not. You don't care about that. You care about. He wasn't hearing it from people on Twitter. He was hearing it from the people in the film room, probably. Yep. Here's what you did wrong. Here's what you need. Here's where you need to get better. And you're probably having at least some conversations or indirect conversations with the NFL folks. Like, okay, where do you need to improve? And Ryan Day can maybe sort of just be the proxy there, where Ryan Day, Arthur Smith. Matt Patricia spent some time in the NFL, as you recall. You've got guys who are going to be able to say, "Look, we've been in the NFL for years and years and years. We've succeeded in the NFL. So, what do you need to do to get better? Here's the list of stuff to get better." And I'll start working on that list.
And Arthur Smith has brand new eyes to whatever Julian has done, and it's Ryan Day has seen it for years. So maybe some of it just you kind of see past it, or it's like this is not new, so it doesn't register, whereas everything now is new for Arthur Smith, and it's like, well, why this? Let's do this. Just simple things like that. One other thing he mentioned, he said Brandon Ennis is going to have a great year. He's very important to the team. So it's like, are you sure you're not on Twitter? because there, we know Brandon Ennis gets a lot of stuff, but he said the guy is clutch. Third down, you throw him the ball, he's going to catch it. Fourth down, you throw him the ball, he's going to catch it. And then the last thing I wanted to mention is becoming more of a vocal leader, and that's something that Mick Marotti challenged him with, and it's also something that Ryan Day talked about with the quarterbacks and the workouts, where it's the quarterbacks who are like calling out the drills in terms of, like you said, if we're doing a set of 50 sit-ups, it's the quarterbacks that have to like yell it out and get everybody going, just so that they get used to speaking in front of the team, being forceful in front of the team. And as Day said, it's like it's maybe a little uncomfortable for them at the start, but by the end, it's like no big deal, and that's kind of what you want from your quarterbacks, just being comfortable in front of the team, in front of tough situations, and then those guys are with you, seeing you go through all of this, get used to having that voice in their ear as well.
Well, and also, I mean, there's probably a little bit of, well, you've got to be able to project if you are a quarterback, and you have road games at Texas and USC and Iowa and Nebraska and Indiana on the schedule this year. You're going to have to be loud because you're going to be playing in some loud environments. So you have to be the voice where you can be loud, but also you have to be the voice that your teammates are listening for.
Yeah. So those are some thoughts from Julian Sayin. We've got more coming, much more coming. So if you have not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do so. YouTube.com/at Buckeye Insiders. You can find us over at BuckeyeInsiders.com. We are running wild.
In a good way.
In a good way, Tom. Thank you very much. Sign up, see us there. I would love to see you there. And of course, 5-star rating and review is always appreciated. That will do it from here. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will talk to you all later.